You've unlocked a Roundtable.
Welcome to the Lost Level Roundtable discussion of American Ultra. My name's Chris.
And I'm Alex.
And we are going to be discussing the latest movie by the writer Max Landis.
Correct, who's best known for his work on Chronicle.
Right, and also his...
A lot of his YouTube stuff. That's pretty popular.
Really...
Death and Return of Superman. He did a wrestling one that gained some popularity a while ago as well.
Yeah, so he's definitely somebody that's out there and is very popular right now. We saw this movie this week. We went on was it a Monday or Tuesday?
It was Monday because we were busy the rest of the week.
Yeah, so we saw this Monday. We were only able to record it today, but on that Monday, we were like the only people in that theater
we up until the movie started. Almost like we had one couple come in, then there were a few that trickled in after that, but it was a pretty empty theater. Granted, it was a Monday night, but
yeah, it's like I couldn't really tell if it was because no one was really interested in this movie, or it was just because it was a Monday night that we went to go check it out. But we saw this, and we also saw Agent 47 this weekend. And
check out our Agent 47 review, Hitman.
Yeah, definitely. That's already out on all of the social medias, so definitely check that out. It's on YouTube if you want to listen to it while you're at work. Definitely check that out. It's an interesting podcast. I went off on it during the spoiler section.
We both did.
Yeah, it's definitely something to listen to. But as we kind of change formats with our roundtables, because I feel that giving the review at the beginning of it gives more opportunity so people who haven't seen movies, especially like movies like American Ultra,
where not a lot of people are seeing it, apparently.
Right. So this is going to be a review at the beginning, and then at the very end of our podcast, we'll give you a warning, let you know that we're going to go into a little bit of spoiler, and then so that way if you don't want to listen
spoiler territory, so
so if you don't want to listen to spoilers, just don't listen to the end of the podcast. But we will tell you, so you don't have to worry about that. So American Ultra. Brief synopsis. What is this movie?
Brief synopsis is this stoner kid growing up in a small town with his girlfriend. He is approached by a CIA agent who says a phrase to him, which unlocks this potential that he forgot he had of being an awesome super soldier, essentially. The main character is played by Jesse Eisenberg. His girlfriend is played by Kristen Stewart. And a few of the CIA agents is Topher Grace, who is the bad one that we don't like, and Connie Britton is the one that's trying to help out Jesse Eisenberg's character.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And going into this movie, I've really enjoyed Jesse Eisenberg. I like him.
He has good range.
He plays, like, okay, Zombieland. Great freaking movie. Classic movie. I could watch that movie over and over again, and he plays that, like, uncomfortable in his own skin, awkward type of person very well. So I really liked him as a stoner in this movie.
It fit. Yes, it fit well, and especially everything else he's going through, his discomfort in trying to please his girlfriend and, do right by her, that really shows in that kind of niche that he plays.
No, absolutely. Yeah, and so going into it, I'm like, oh, cool, Jesse Eisenberg. I'm stoked for this.
Right.
This is the type of role that I want to see him in. The type of role that is not Lex Luthor. In Batman versus Superman, which is going to be an interesting role for him.
Very different for him, yeah.
So I'm kind of curious to how well he succeeds in that role, but feeling that him as an awkward stoner, perfect fit.
Yes.
Completely like that one. The one that I was worried about was Kristen Stewart.
As most people are.
Yeah,
yes.
Because everybody knows, like, she's very just monotoned, one expression.
Yeah.
And
she definitely got a bad rap from those Twilight movies. Those did not do her any credit.
Well,
in that sense.
it wasn't just the
Oh
Twilight
no,
movies.
I know
though.
that.
Like,
I know that, but those are the ones that people gravitate towards because those are probably the most egregious of the movies.
yeah, I mean, I've watched a couple of like independent movies from her, or movies that were like a lot less budget, and she was okay in them. She wasn't great. Snow White and the Huntsman, I thought that she was very bad in.
I see.
I thought that was a horrible casting choice.
Yeah, I didn't see that movie.
Okay. Yeah, I was really excited about that movie when it was
Yeah,
announced.
I mean, to be fair, I haven't seen her a lot outside of Adventureland
Okay.
and the Twilight movie. Honestly, I can't think of any other movie that I've seen her in.
Did you like Adventureland?
Yes, I enjoyed Adventureland. It was a different movie than I was expecting, so I think that threw me off. So it was hard for me to really gauge it. So I feel like this movie I do have to go back to and really judge it on those merits and by her acting and everyone's acting solely. Which, Jesse Eisenberg was in that one also, so it's them teaming up again. So they obviously have that chemistry that they're comfortable with each other, and I think that showed a lot in this movie.
It did.
Because one of the shining things of this movie that I really enjoyed was the relationship between the two. Like when he felt that he let her down in the beginning when he couldn't get on the plane, like you felt the devastation in him, and like I felt bad for him. Like I've been in scenarios with that where I feel bad about something that happened with a significant other, and you just that uncomfort really showed, but the love between them was also very apparent.
Yeah, I felt that their chemistry and their on-screen romance was believable.
100%, yes.
I liked it. I really felt for those characters. I think Max Landis does a really good job of establishing their relationship, how their dynamic is between for like what their roles are to each other.
Max Landis cares a lot about character. He feels character is really important in driving a story more than plot beats.
Right. He's not necessarily looking for plot beats. He's looking to establish the character, as you just said.
Yes.
Yeah, no, dude, completely agree, man. I completely agree. I think that their relationship was what made the majority of this film work.
Correct. Definitely.
And enter the problem. Topher Grace comes in, and
Topher Grace wants to shut down this operation that was training Jesse Eisenberg's character into being this super soldier,
right? Like
by using his own super soldier experiment to take him out.
Right. Originally, Connie Britton's character, Victoria Lassiter, she had this program where a lot of people failed, but the shining moment was Jesse.
Yeah.
Or Mike Howell.
Yeah, essentially what it was are these. Well, I'm not sure how spoiler that is, so. Because it's kind of it's kind of revealed. It's not too much, but you find out that there's these two programs going on at once of breeding super soldiers. Topher Grace's character has one idea, and Connie's character has another idea, and they're kind of at odds with one another. And so it's basically putting an end to this.
Yeah,
is what Topher's trying to do as a new director.
Yeah, and Topher's. I had the hardest time trying to understand, to feel if I liked him or not in this, because it's perfect for Topher Grace to play. It's the type of character that you expect him to play. It's like a very typecast character for Topher. So I don't know if it was just a comfort or a safe choice for him, but it doesn't really expand on him as an actor. And for watching the movie, I kind of just felt like it's really one-dimensional.
Yeah, there wasn't much to his character. You're just not supposed to like him, and as much as we're saying, Max Landis does focus a lot on character. The bad guy is really which faltered.
Right. His focus was more on the relationship between Mike Howell and Phoebe, who's played by Kristen Stewart.
Yes.
So you have, your cookie cutter bad guys and everything that happens after that. But yeah, I didn't like Topher as your baddie in this movie.
He's too smarmy and too clever and witty.
Swarmy, that's a great word for him.
Yeah, I mean that's he's too sure of himself and just a confident, cocky asshole. And it's just like, okay, we get it. You feel like you can do no wrong. You feel like you're untouchable.
Yeah, I felt like his scenes kind of weighed the film down.
Mm-hmm.
And it really kind of just, I was waiting for him to end the scene so we can move on to watching Mike and Phoebe progress the story, because I didn't like the way that it was written or the way that Topher played it, but it was just a typical Topher role. But what I did like actually was one of the small side characters that they had, John Leguizamo.
I like seeing him pop up in things because he always plays a fun kind of outlandish character.
Yeah, he played Rose, basically Jesse's
Drug dealer,
and he plays the character really over the top, but it's John Leguizamo and it's okay.
Yes, but in regards to that, there's parts of this that are very over the top. Like, just the concept of it is very over the top, and even the portrayal of the CIA is over the top. It's not very grounded. It is very like Men in Black type situations, doing all these nefarious experiments and black ops operations.
Right.
That are just crazy. So
you have that atmosphere, and then in comes John Leguizamo.
Yes, exactly. I mean, and I think that's what I really enjoyed about this movie was these two very grounded characters that you cared about in this very outlandish scenario, and it's them dealing with it.
Yeah, dude, 100. Yeah, I agree with you on that. What else do you want to say without going into the spoiler section? What do you think about like the action scenes?
Some of the action scenes are really cool, especially the last one when they're in the supermarket.
Mm-hmm.
That one really stood out to me a lot. I mean, other ones, you see some of the shots in the trailers. Him tossing the pan up and shooting it, like cool things like that. Just this clever action sequences. Some really clever writing as well. I mean, I know I heard you laughing out loud in the theater sometimes, so...
Yeah, which is rare.
Yeah, very rare.
No, it's kind of touching back onto the end scene or the climax, as you kind of just mentioned. I did like that Mike Howell is not necessarily like this uber badass type of character who all of a sudden discovers who he is and becomes like a untouchable type of figure where he's almost like a Superman that is just doing these incredible, impossible type of feats.
Right, you see him get hit quite a bit.
Yeah, like you see him puffy. You see like a battle damaged version of a human being.
Yeah, you see at the very beginning, the very opening scene, you see the aftermath and how messed up he is.
Yeah, so I do like that aspect to it because it makes it more grounded.
Yes,
you're not
someone who's been out of the loop for so long and just rediscovered this ability of his.
Yeah, and see that's where I think Max Landis shines because he really gives you a sense of realism in a lot of his writing. Like there's passion behind it, and there's understanding that like, look, this person might have the ability to do stuff that normal humans might not be able to do, but at the same time, he's still going to be taking hits. He's still going to be hurt.
Right.
It's not going to be like a John Wick who is going to enter this room and methodically just murder people in the face. And I use John Wick a lot in a lot of references in action movies nowadays just because that's kind of set the standard from when I'm watching a lot of movies.
Right.
Especially movies that are trying to mimic it. I'm really going to hold those to high regard or to high... to be a critic about those. But I do like how Landis writes this character in terms of him just being able to be a normal, grounded human being that has these abilities maybe.
And struggling with it. Like, he's not fully accepting this. He's going through shit. And there's a point where he's just like, I'm done. I give up. Like, I'm going to get high. I'm going to sit in my house and wait for him to kill me. Like, I'm done with this. Like, I mean, he's not comfortable with it at all. And you see that struggle with him and just the unease with it all.
Yeah, and I 100% agree. I think that it's nice, it's kind of refreshing almost to see
An action star that is very human.
And flawed.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I do like that part of it. What else we have?
As far as the story goes, not getting too much into spoilers, I felt like some of the...
No spoilers.
Well, yeah, but I felt that some of the twists or whatever were kind of predictable. Like, there were parts where I'm like, yeah, I saw that coming, I kind of figured that out earlier. And so I think some of that could have been done better, or just in a more clever fashion.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I think that while there's that's the way that we're talking this out right now. I think it does kind of show the way that I feel about this movie. There's really good points of it, and there's really points of it that were just very vanilla.
Yeah, there are some very vanilla parts of this movie.
It does feel like it's an end of summer action film. Like, I felt like if this was going to be a strong script from point A to point B, or to the end, it would have been a film that was released earlier in the summer.
Yeah, mid-June.
Yeah. But it doesn't feel like that. There are peaks and valleys in the script. There are lulls in the pacing issues.
There's some plot holes I felt as well.
Which
we can get into later.
That hurt it, that damaged this movie to the point where it's an end of summer action film.
Correct.
Where there's not a lot of people going to the theaters. They're going back to the school. They're doing plenty of other things right now, and it's a traditional time where not a lot of moviegoers are going to the theater. So you're seeing Agent 47 being released. You're seeing American Ultra. You're seeing these movies.
I hold American Ultra in a higher regard than Agent 47, but yes.
Yeah, so you're seeing these end of summer movies. So it feels like it belongs there. Some for me partially.
No, I totally see where you're coming from in that, but by no means a fall movie.
Yeah. So why don't we wrap up the non-spoiler version of this?
Right. Okay.
Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. There is some incredible writing with this when it comes down to the development of the main characters and the relationship between them, and how they progress through the story and how they grow through the story.
Mm-hmm.
Some really good laughs, some pretty fun action scenes. But despite that, there are lulls in it. There are some plot holes. There are some vanilla aspects of it. So it's not a great movie by any standards. I don't think it's one you have to see in theaters. But eventually when it comes up on Netflix, definitely I'd say give it a watch there. You're going to enjoy yourself. But I don't think it's going to be anything that thrills you too much. It's definitely worth watching for the character developments.
Okay. For me, as I kind of just touched on where I feel about it, it's up and down. Some moments I really, really liked, and there's other moments where I were forgettable the second that they were done.
Yeah.
And I can't recommend watching this movie in theaters. I think that there are moments of really smart genius in it, and those are the parts that I kind of laughed. Those are the parts where I was really engaged in the movie. I'm like, this is going good. But then those are followed by other moments that took me away from the movie, where it just kind of became a lull. So I can't necessarily say watch this movie because I wasn't totally engaged in it. It's like one of those movies where it's a fun little movie. It has great ideas in it, but at the end of the day, it's just kind of forgettable. Like, you're gonna watch it and forget about it in a week. And that's how I kind of feel about it. I really liked the relationship between Jesse and Kristen, but at the same time, it's just there's not enough in this movie to make a full movie to keep me engaged the whole entire time. So I enjoyed for the most part, but forgot about it a couple days later.
Okay.
So stay tuned. We're going to go into our spoiler section. So how can we reach you, Alex?
You can follow me on Twitter. My name there is Alex Sandberg, AlexSanberg, or you can email me directly at the website, alex@lostlevel.com.
I'm on Twitter, twitter.com/calmintensity. We have a Twitter page as well. It's twitter.com/thelostlevel. Our website is lostlevel.com. In the upper right-hand corner, you have a link to all of our social media. We have a Facebook page. We have a YouTube page. I've been updating that with all of our latest podcasts. So please subscribe to that. We'd really appreciate that. Go on iTunes, subscribe to the Lost Level channel. We really appreciate that as well. Give us some likes on that or give us a review. That really helps us with listenership. So appreciate that again. Everybody who's been talking about Lost Level, people who've been writing us, we love all the love. Thank you, and we'll talk to you soon. Again, hang on. We're going to talk about spoilers in a moment. All right. Thanks for hanging on. This is the spoiler section.
Right.
I'm excited.
Okay.
All right. Let's get into it.
All
Spoilers everywhere.
Okay, what do you want to get into first?
I don't know.
Let's get into some of the plot holes.
Okay.
The first one that bothered me the most is how Jesse Eisenberg was able to hold on to the engagement ring throughout the whole process. I mean, yes, I understand it's important because he loves this girlfriend of his and he wants to propose to her.
Is that a plot hole, though?
Well, no, but it's when he goes into prison and you see a bag of everything that was confiscated from him,
mm-hmm.
They would have confiscated the ring and he would not have that with him. That would have been gone. That would have been with that bag of shit. So not really a plot hole, just kind of a...
Okay.
Like, okay, that really doesn't make sense. No, the thing was, towards the end, he attacks them with a Humvee full of fireworks.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember correctly, didn't he pick up the fireworks first and go straight to work? At which point his car was exploded.
He was supposed to have dropped those off.
He was supposed to drop those off?
He was supposed to... He picked them up from
Rose.
From Rose. And then I think there was a line of dialogue that specifically said, I'm going to go drop these off.
Oh, okay.
And then head over to work.
Okay.
So I think that line was purposely in there so there wouldn't be a plot hole.
Fair enough. Then I take that back.
Right.
But,
I think, I could be wrong, but I think that's what it was, because I remember that line.
Okay, fair enough. That may be very well true. It's just a very brief line that I missed.
Okay.
Let's go to the plot twists that were kind of predictable, like Kristen Stewart being his handler.
You thought that was you saw that coming?
There's points in the jail scene like, okay, I this makes sense now. Like when the laugher goes in there
mm-hmm.
and she somehow really intuitively knows how to disarm him and get the clip out of the gun. Like someone who has never had any experience with that would not know how to do that, but she does it with such ease. I'm like, all right, she's had training of some sort. She knows what she's doing.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't touching on that. I didn't like the laugher either.
You know what? The laugher was a weird character.
I could see Max Landis trying to make a memorable person.
I felt like he was supposed to, towards the end, be a foil character to, show, that they both kind of went through the same shit and
right.
they're both kind of damaged from it.
Yeah, and that's definitely what his role was supposed to be in this movie. But I didn't like him. I didn't like his code name. I didn't...
Yeah, you know what? I totally agree with that. It was too kitschy. It was too much to try and be like, look at this cool, crazy character.
Yeah, it's like he was trying too hard to make a memorable character. So when you walked out of this film, instead of seeing 5 guys dressed in black trying to attack Jesse Eisenberg or Mike Howell, you have this one memorable guy called the Laugher who laughs a lot like a hyena.
Right.
And it's like, okay, you're trying too hard. I like Walter, the guy that plays the Laugher.
That actor's really good.
He is great.
He's one of those things, like, I know I see him, but I can never remember what I see in this stuff.
The Shield.
Okay.
He was a major character, and he's a major character in Justified.
Right, that's it.
He's a great actor, and I love him. And I just did not care for him in this role at all.
Fair enough. Yeah, I agree with you on that as well.
Yeah, I didn't care. And it sucks, too, because, like, he was one of the main villains. Where you have him and kind of Topher Grace being the two guys, and if I don't like both of the villains, it's kind of like we talk about comic books, and you talk about like Batman is a great character because of his rogues gallery.
Yes,
he has
definitely
amazing villains, and you look at other character or superheroes who have kind of crappy villains that they fight. You don't look at them in the same regard.
No, not at all.
So you look. I'm looking at it like I'm looking at Mike Howell here as a character, and his two villains are Topher Grace, who is
a smarmy bastard,
right, and then you have the Laugher.
He was just kind of weird, and doesn't really do much for the audience.
Right, and that's why it didn't really translate for me. Like I just didn't care at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I forgot about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the disappointing thing for me. Whereas if Max could have found a way to make a interesting villain, it would have totally made this movie a little bit better.
Right, and I feel like he struggled with that just because he does write very human people, and it's hard to write an evil person if you're trying to go human.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, and I don't know. There's a lot of cliches in this movie where like the whole CIA thing is just this one thing,
right? Yeah.
And Connie Britton is trying to do the best that she possibly can as the person who created this program, and Mike Howell is the only successful agent that she has. And like trying to tuck him away and hiding him in the stoner life and forgetting, trying to keep him away.
He had the stoner life before because she mentioned that when he was picked up, it was on his third strike for possession or something.
Yeah, and her relationship with Topher at the CIA, it just felt boring. There was nothing there.
Yeah, I liked Tony Hale's character. The kind of helping Connie's character out. I thought that was very interesting because he wants to do right, and he's struggling because his ass is on the line as well. So
you mean Buster Bluth?
Yes, Buster Bluth's character. I really liked him because you felt that struggle with him. So I enjoyed his scenes.
Kind of. You did. I think that's where they try to humanize a little bit of it because you have him in the middle of all this between Connie Britton and Topher Grace, and he has to deal with both sides of it.
Yes, he wants to do right, but he knows his life is on the line if he doesn't.
Which is, you're right. It is like the most interesting thing aside from Jesse Eisenberg and Kristen Stewart. He has to deal with like these hard decisions where it's like, I know what's right. I know it's right and wrong, but this is my job, and I need to follow procedure, and I have to do what my supervisor tells me to do. So he's caught in a rock and a hard place,
Definitely,
and ultimately chooses to not murder people, even though he's ordered to.
Right.
Yeah, you know what? That was probably the most interesting and most realistic kind of take on it, where he has to deal with that type of thing. But again, something we've seen so many times in movies.
Right. And yeah. Another thing that I kind of saw coming was Bill Pullman's character, the former director, being the informant,
Yeah.
letting Connie Brixton know that Jesse Eisenberg's character was going to get killed.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, but still, actually, Bill Pullman's character was very interesting because he represents both of them. He's kind of cutthroat in his own regard. He is like, no, you both are assholes. You both fucked up. So I thought that was an interesting character. And I think I would like to have seen more of him.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about him. Like you're right. I think that his character was interesting, but at the same time, what could he have done to add to this movie?
That's true. Yeah.
I don't know. I still a week later recording this podcast. I'm still so up and down about it. Where I forget about it, and then I'm like, shit, we got to record this podcast. So I start thinking about it again. So maybe after we record this podcast, I'm done with it. I'm not really going to think about this movie. I'm going to move on. I'm going to look towards The Transporter, another action movie that's coming out at the end of summer.
You're not going to be watching that. I'm going to be watching that.
Yeah.
You're going to be in Germany.
But I will be watching it after I get back. Because I need to continue on with these movies. Because maybe The Transporter is going to be the greatest movie of all time. Or the greatest movie of this year. I don't know. But I need to watch it to make sure that I'm accurate in my end of the year assessments.
Okay.
As you yawn.
Sure. See, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, at least I felt like this movie had a level of self-awareness where it didn't take itself too seriously. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate it because of that.
You're right. I think... Well, okay, look. You mentioned to me right before we recorded this podcast that Max has kind of gone out and said, he's kind of upset that people haven't been going to see this movie.
Right.
Why is that? Like, I don't understand. I didn't read the article.
Oh, no, Anna mentioned it before he left, but I just saw a video of him on the opening night, the premiere, and he was just like, this is out of all the movies coming out, there's 5 movies opening this weekend, this is the only movie that is not based off of something else. This is the only original movie. And I think I give it more credit because of that, because it is so rare to see something original, and I was just excited to see something original in this.
That's true, because we talk about it off cast, on cast. Whenever I can, I mention the fact that there's so many non-original ideas coming out.
There's reboots, there's sequels, there's
remakes,
nostalgia bleeding in.
Yeah,
constantly.
There's movies that we watch and just wondering and shaking our heads like, seriously, this is just a money grab for nostalgia. And so many of our reviews for the summer feel like that's all we've talked about. So it is nice and it is refreshing to see a new, not even a franchise, a new idea come out on the screen. But it works in some areas and it doesn't in others. And that was kind of what I walked away with.
Yeah, and I walked away with the same thing. I feel I've obviously enjoyed it more than you did, which is fine. Mm-hmm. To each their own. But, right. Like I said, I don't hate the movie at all. I think it is a fine movie for what it is. I think it's like I said, I personally think it's worth a watch on Netflix if it's there. Yeah,
I don't hate it either. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this is Agent 47 level bad or anything like that. Not. It's just, it's forgettable. It's like you watch it once, you're like, okay, it exists, it's cool, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then you just don't care.
Yeah, unfortunately that's the case.
Yeah. So, do I want to see a sequel to it? Not necessarily.
No.
I'm not going to run to the theater and be like, yes! I did like their relationship. I think actually Jesse Eisenberg and Kristen Stewart are together again in a movie that's filming right now. I think I saw something about that. I don't remember the name of it. But they work well together.
They do.
I think that they have great chemistry, and that works in this movie. Other elements that we talked about to death don't work in this movie. So, it is what it is. Take it, leave it. Listen to Alex.
Take the good, take the bad.
Yeah, and then you have The Facts of Life
American Ultra.
and American Ultra in the same regard.
Yeah.
So listen to Alex, check it out on Netflix. Listen to me, forget about it. Up to you guys, but we appreciate you guys listening. Is there anything else that you want to touch on about American Ultra before we put it to bed?
No, I think we covered everything.
All right, is this going to be in your top 5?
Probably not.
Probably not. You haven't even think about that?
No.
It's been a shitty year if you're thinking about American Ultra in your top 5.
I mean, I can't think of what else I've seen this year. I know I've seen a lot, but I'm not sure how much of I actually enjoyed.
You know what? Valid point. There has been a lot of movies that we watched this year that we haven't been keen on, but there have been some good ones in there as well.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
I know that I won't talk about this movie again for the rest of the year, unless
Okay.
it's just to complain about something that Alex brings up later in the podcast. But we shall see. But thanks for listening, guys. We really appreciate it. I'll be taking a little hiatus here because I'm going out of town for vacation, or actually for work and vacation. So Alex and Adam are going to step up and do a couple things for you guys.
We're going to hold down the fort.
Holding on the fort. Really appreciate that. So I will be back soon, as well as a podcast from the last level.
All right. Bye.